There was a report yesterday about that you would approve trades to 3 different teams. Did you see that? Do you have a thought on that at all?
I didn't see it. I'm not really on social right now as much or anything like that, but I did see it because somebody sent it to me. No, that's not in my head right now at all. I didn't say that either. I'm focused on what we're doing here. Obviously, I love Seattle. This is a place that I've loved every day, every moment.
Exactly. Say you intend to fulfill the contract you're under.
Yeah, that's my hope. My hope is to not just fulfill that. Hopefully, I get to play here for 20 years of my career. Will that happen? I don't know. But that's my prayer. That's my hope. And all that stuff. That stuff's in the future. That stuff's down the road. I think my mission, my focus, that I can only do right now is focus on right now, today. 3rd down, red zone, light it up, have a great day, bring as much energy, much focus as I can to this football team. As I mentioned, I love this place. I love this city and this team and what we can do. So I think my focus is on that, and that's really what matters.
Very different approaches by Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers to discontent. Aaron Rodgers not trying to compartmentalize his feelings about the front office with his focus on playing football. Russell Wilson kind of checked all those other issues at the door the moment he decided he's all in for 2021. He had no choice. He made his move. And to the extent that anyone thinks he didn't try to get out of Seattle, first of all, come on. Second of all, the stories are out there. Anytime someone's agent, I can't say anytime because it's only ever happened one time in the 20 years that I've been covering the NFL, that someone's agent comes out and says, my client does not want to be traded. But if he were to be traded, he would accept a trade to the Cowboys, the Bears, the Raiders, or the Saints. That tells you everything you need to know. And Wilson himself was on Dan Patrick's show airing grievances just after the Super Bowl. The difference between him and Rodgers is once it's time to go focus on the season, he's not going to let himself be bogged down by any of those thoughts. He's got a job to do, and he's going to do it. And I respect him immensely for that. But that helps explain and helps us understand why he said what he said yesterday. Would he waive his no-trade clause for the Saints, the Broncos, or the Giants? Now, I got some questions about a couple of those teams, and we'll talk about that. Would he? Maybe. But that's the last thing that's going to hit his radar screen. I don't know who in his circle was talking about it, if anyone. We didn't write anything about the initial report just because I was a little skeptical about it because of the timing of it. Because, again, this isn't the kind of thing that Wilson or anyone in his circle would be talking about now, especially after a win. They just won. It'd be different if they had lost to the 49ers. Then it would be a little more credible because it really does feel like it's crumbling. They still have borderline semi-plausible hope. So the idea that it comes out after they finally get a win and they beat the 49ers, that just seems like even more of a stretch, that it's something that Wilson would be thinking about, talking about privately or whatever. He's thinking about, talking about, focusing on getting a win against the Texans this weekend. So, Charean, look, I still think that after the season, he's going to want major changes, and if he doesn't get the changes he wants, he's going to want out. I think that's true. But for now, I believe what he says. It's the last thing he's thinking about.
Oh, I do too, Mike. The timing's so weird. Trade deadline's passed. Look, this is not going to go away. It's going to be a storyline in the offseason. He helped create this. His agent helped create this. He became the highest paid quarterback, highest paid player in April 2019. He's now 5th, and I don't even know if he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL now. His contract makes him easier. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but his contract now makes him easier to trade this offseason than it did last offseason because he has no guarantees left. But does his value go down, Mike? Because I don't know where he ranks. I don't know, is it him? Is it the team? Like, what is it that he can't get them over the hump? 3-5 in the postseason since those back-to-back Super Bowls. And frankly, I don't think he's played that well over the first half of the last season he did, but since the second half of last season into this season, he just hasn't played that well in my mind. He hasn't been one of the top 5 quarterbacks in football. And again, whether that's the Seahawks or whether that's him, you have to decide that if you're trying to trade for a quarterback and considering giving up what the Seahawks are going to want for him.
The cap charge is the big thing with Russell Wilson, and it would have been much higher last year. They could have done the deal after June 1, and it would have been spread over 2 years. They would have taken part of the cap charge this year, the rest of it in 2022. Here, I have it in front of me now. There is still $26 million in cap charges that need to be taken. Now, yeah, that's not, with the salary cap expected to be north of 208 next year, that's manageable if you have to do it. He's due to make $24 million next year and $27 million in 2023. If he would go to a new team, he'd presumably get a new contract. And if they would trade him officially after June 1, and if you're trading for him, you probably want him in the building before then. But after June 1, they could spread it between 2 seasons, 2022 and 13 in 2023. And you asked where he ranks. He's currently 5th right now among all quarterbacks. Mahomes, new money average of $45 million. Josh Allen, $43 million. Dak Prescott, $40. Deshaun Watson, who is getting paid $10 million this year to not play and has a $35 million salary fully guaranteed next year. He's at $39 million. And Russell Wilson at $35. Aaron Rodgers at $33.5. Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff make the same amount of money. What is wrong with that picture? Now, as it relates to Wilson and these teams that he supposedly would waive his no-trade clause for, we don't know who the coach of the Broncos is going to be next year.
Yeah.
They're going to hire a coach long before they're in the market for Russell Wilson. We don't know what's going on with the Giants. Dave Gettleman is reportedly on his way out. And anytime a report like that comes from NFL media and the team doesn't refute it, tells me it's true. So Gettleman's out. Who's the new GM going to be? Are they going to change coaches? What does Russell Wilson think about Joe Judge? The last time he was linked to the Giants, it was pre-Joe Judge. So these are things we don't know. The Saints are the only one that I would feel confident about because they were on the list last year, and the structure is still in place this year. But it is premature. He can't be traded until March, and there will be a coaching carousel that happens that may change his thinking about those 3 teams, and it may bring other teams into the mix based upon where coaches and executives land by the end of January, Charean.
Well, and if the Raiders was on his team last year, we know that for a fact from his age. Nothing's changed with the Raiders. I mean, why wouldn't the Raiders be on his radar?
There has been one change. There has been one significant change in Las Vegas. Yeah.
The coach.
Although maybe it's more attractive without John Gruden there.
Yeah, we'll see who they hire. But, it's more likely Seattle's going to trade him to an AFC team, or they want to trade him to an AFC team. If it's an NFC team, they're going to have to offer significantly more than any AFC team wants or offers because they want him in the AFC. They don't want him in the NFC, so that's going to be a big deal. So you're going to look first at who the AFC teams are that he would go to before you look at the NFC teams, because it's going to take a lot more for an NFC team to get him than the AFC team. If I'm the Seahawks, I'm not trading him to New Orleans. Are you kidding me? Russell Wilson with Sean Payton, that could be an outstanding partnership that could last perhaps as long as Drew Brees played.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And one of the questions this year is the regression of the Seahawks. How much of it is Wilson? How much of it is his finger? Should he have not played with that finger injury? How much gas does he still have in the tank? He was slipping in relation to other quarterbacks before the season because there are younger guys who are, I hate to say this because I've always been a big Russell Wilson guy, there are younger guys who are better than him. So it's one thing to hold where you are. That's fine. I'm still the same guy I always was. Oh, wait, I'm looking up at these guys these young guys. Oh, boy, Kyler Murray. I mean, right now, you'd take Kyler Murray over Russell Wilson any day of the week, wouldn't you? Wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Even you, the president of the I Hate Kyler Murray fan club?
I absolutely would. And that's my point. When you start ranking him, is he in the top 10? He's not in the he wouldn't be in my top 5. Would he be in my top 10? Probably, but more probably toward the bottom of that than, I mean, it'd be hard to have him up there, and he's paid top 5, but to me, he's not a top 5 quarterback anymore. And I guess that's what you have to determine. Is it him or is it the team? And how much of it is him and how much of it is the team? He has one 300-yard game this season. And you look at the receivers, it's not the receivers. I mean, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are as good as they come. You're not getting better receivers than that. So, they don't have a running game, and I know that hurts them, and there are always questions about their offensive line. I mean, even he questioned their offensive line after last season, and he takes a lot of sacks. But how much of it is him, Mike, and how much of it is the Seahawks? And that, a team trading for him has to determine that.
And it may be at the end of the year. Jody Allen, the owner of the team, who reportedly is unhappy with the current direction, she has to make some decisions. It may be choose between Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. It may be reset. It may be hire new coach and let new coach decide what to do with quarterback. Kind of like what we heard last year from the Falcons when they hired a new GM and a new coach. We're going to let them figure out what to do with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones. They ended up trading Jones and keeping Ryan. So that may be part of what goes on. But there's a lot that needs to happen in Seattle and elsewhere before we ever get to the point where there's even a thought. That's why we shied away, frankly. One of the reasons why we shied away from that report. It's too early to know where the desirable seats are going to be. And it's too early for Russell Wilson to know that he doesn't want to be in Seattle. And by the way, for those of you who aren't accustomed to seeing Charean in the mornings and hearing some of the banter, it's a good-natured ribbing that we engage in because she's extremely loyal to Texas A&M, and Kyler Murray transferred from Texas A&M. So that's where the jokes come that she hates Kyler Murray. I can say for the record, she doesn't hate Kyler Murray as much as she used to. All right, let's
Kyler Murray for MVP. He's got my MVP vote right now.
Well, your finalists on Monday were Kyler Murray and TJ Watt. Bye-bye, TJ Watt. Now. Hello, Kyler Murray.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.